Welcome to the show, Rachel Nichols. It's an honor to have you here for Mad Max Radio, Live 365, iHeartRadio, P2, Continuum. We can go right down the list. Amityville Horror, Demigod, Inside, The Breach, Raze. Here it is. Yeah, it's been a lot. It's been a long journey here for you. Welcome to the show. How's everything going?
Everything's pretty good. I do have two rescue pit bulls, and the fireworks that have been going off in LA are pretty insane. So I'm very sleepless, but other than that, everything's good.
I'm happy to hear that, and especially with the fireworks going off and enjoying the holiday weekend and everything that's been going on. How's everything been? Because now that you're in LA, because everything was so crazy with the fires, with the Palisades and everything. So how is everything with that?
Everything was so crazy. My husband and I have a beautiful house and not in the fire area, so we hosted a bunch of people who'd been evacuated. So we're doing fine, but it was a very apocalyptic experience with the sky and the sun and the smoke. And we live in Hancock Park, so we were pretty we survived. There were no real, sort of deadly terminations on our property. So we got really lucky, but it was really scary.
Hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, you could see I could saw it all throughout social media, and then there was coverage everywhere, even because I'm in on the East Coast in New York. So I was seeing everything happening out there, and it was just depressing to see that going on. And I know that's had an impact on the film industry world out there too.
Oh, incredible. Where are you in New York?
Queens.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
I went to school in New York, so.
Columbia. I was gonna get into that with you. What made you choose to go to Columbia? Because you were from Maine originally. You got the shirt on there.
Yeah, you know what? I wanted to go to a great college and university, whatever. Um, Stanford was too far away, and Harvard was too close. So I chose Columbia and I got in. So I can't complain.
No, you can't. And you were going down the psychology path and things like that. I was reading about your journey there until you really got discovered. So, how did you end up getting discovered in New York as far as modeling early on?
I was literally there was a project many, many moons ago. I mean, I'm 45, so it was many, many moons ago. And I was going to meet someone, and part of this project was called IM.com that didn't end up actually functioning properly. But I met him right after he was meeting a modeling agent, and she called him because there was not really texting back there in the olden days.
Hmm.
And he brought me into her office after we had our meeting, and she took some pictures, which I still have literal Polaroids from the day that happened. And I'm thinking, why would anyone ever think I was going to be a model? But they did. So they adopted me. It was Next New York, and that was the agency. And that's how I started. And then I went into commercials, and then they asked me if I wanted to be an actress. And I thought, well, sure, because I'm going to go to business school. I, I need money because my job at Abercrombie and Fitch, no offense, was not paying me enough to go to business school. So I went and I took the photos, and then I started working, and then I went to commercials, and then it went to my team asking if I wanted to work as an actress, and I said sure. And so my first real audition was for that one episode of Sex in the City, or Sex in the City, not Aw City. Um, and I got the job.
Hmm.
And I have to say, I haven't seen her since, but Kim Cattrall was unbelievably kind to me because I had never acted before. And at about 6 a.m., Um, I told her I had never acted before, and if she had been mean, I probably would have never acted again. And she was lovely and she was so sweet. And I had one day of work, I had four scenes to do. I had never hit a mark. I had never, found my light. I had never had to do any of that. So she was really supportive. And if she'd been a total, can I swear on your
You can.
podcast? If she'd been a total cunt, I would have left. I would have said, "This is not for me. I'll go back to mathematics." But she was so kind and so lovely that, hey, I stuck with it. And here we are.
Exactly. And talk about a hit show to get on right away. And then you end up working with Jennifer Gardner later on. So is there something, because you were a huge fan of the show with working with her. So is there kind of like a thing to where you audition for shows that if you're a huge fan, they are against that? They don't want you to join? Is that something that's realistic?
Well, okay, so truth be told, um, when I auditioned for J.J. Abrams for Alias,
Hmm.
I lied and said I'd only seen a couple of episodes. And when they hired me and the ink was dry on the contract, I went to Ken Olin, who was the executive producer at the time, and I said, I need season four immediately because it wasn't out yet. And he went, I thought you only saw a couple of episodes. And I said, oh, I was lying. I'm a huge fan. I just didn't want you to think I was a crazy person. So he printed out all of season four for me before I started to work on season five. I didn't want them to think I was a sociopath or anything. And Jennifer is still one of the nicest people that I know, and she was so great to me and so kind to me. The whole team was, the whole crew, the whole cast, but it was such a memorable experience.
Now, I could tell that's a dream come true to work on a show like that, especially one that you're a fan of. And it just getting into Amityville Horror with this audition process with Michael Bay. Was there a reason why he had these dogs there? Because I heard that you had a phobia with these big scary dogs.
Yes, he had this big office, and at the time I had a huge dog phobia. Now again, I have two rescue pit bulls, but yeah, there were two huge dogs there, and I went up to audition, and he's kind of intimidating, I'm not gonna lie. Um, and I did the audition, and it involved, screaming and crying and pretending there was a finger being stuck in my head. And um, the funniest part of the story actually is I booked the job, and then I was leaving to do the job, and he wasn't directing it. Um, but I called him and he said, "Who is this?" And I said, "It's Rachel Nichols. I'm playing the babysitter in Amityville Horror." And he was like, "I'm on my way home. Don't call me back. I'll call you. Don't leave my number with anyone." And I was like, "Oh my God, I'm so scared of Michael Bay." But he ended up being delightful, and we were on the phone, and his partners directed and produced it, and it was a really good experience. And Ryan Reynolds is just as nice as you think he would be, or, well, I haven't seen him in a long time. He was back then, and he
Hmm.
was dating Alanis Morissette. The funniest thing is I was so much more excited about meeting Alanis Morissette than I was about Ryan.
I did learn about that you did meet her on the set there. That's a crazy story. Just all of a sudden, an iconic singer on set.
Absolutely. I was gobsmacked. And at that point, I had met some pretty fancy people. But Alanis Morissette, are you kidding me? I was singing all the lyrics in my head and I was trying to be cool, be cool, be cool. And she was lovely. She really, really was. And I was just trying to like maintain my coolness.
Yeah, and your scene is very memorable throughout the movie as the babysitter, and we all know the closet scene and things like that. But we've heard stories from other people on set there about all these paranormal experiences because it's been said that the original was like a cursed film and just everything that happened with the true story that went on and things like that. Did you experience or see anything weird on set during your time there?
You know what? Ironically, I didn't. on set there, but years later, um, with my friend Jonathan, um, I did an episode of Ghost Ghost Hunters, I think it was
Okay.
called. And we saw some super crazy like activity. I mean, it was absolutely insane. So I do believe that that activity exists. Absolutely.
It definitely does, especially with that film. Just hearing, I think it was the one of the actors said that they were choked. I saw that in a documentary on celebrity ghost stories or something like that, and that they were choked
Yeah.
on the set. Yeah.
Yeah, it was very surreal. I mean, obviously I'm from New England and it was
Hmm.
just very surreal. Um, and I shot my ghost scene. Oh no, I got my oh no, no, sorry, I had my volume on.
Oh,
My my ghost episodes. I didn't ever get argumentative with ghosts on the course of that show, but I feel like it definitely happened. I feel it, but I was only there for a short period of time.
hmm. Yeah.
So yeah.
Crazy. That it's just a crazy that you had that experience too, because I mean, a lot of people go through those stories, and then sometimes it makes them believers. And right there, you definitely witnessed
Oh,
something with ghost hunters.
I totally believe in ghosts and the whole thing. Um,
Yeah.
I totally believe in it. I was raised in a very old house in Augusta, Maine, and my mom, years after I was born, was sort of scraping. She was going to build a garden, and she was sort of scraping off some of the rocks, and she found one of these rocks, and it had like an engravement in it. So of course, my mom is super smart, and she went to like the local library and the local authority and everything, and she found out that the man that built our house was the one that was buried in our backyard. And the house is now 300 years old, and they always said he's a nice ghost. He's a nice ghost. He's just keeping attention and paying attention and loving you. So anytime you hear a weird noise or a door slams, it's just him protecting you. And I fell for it wholeheartedly.
It's better to have one of those ghosts than any of the ones in Amityville Horror underneath there. Ugh.
Yes. I know. So I fully, I know a lot of people don't believe in ghosts, but I fully believe in ghosts, and they're good or they're bad or they're benign, but they're there and they're
They
watching.
are. Oh, they're definitely there. And we could get into the horror because you're a big horror fan. So I know
Yep.
Silence of the Lambs is your favorite film of all time. Why
Yep.
is that one stick out to you the most as your favorite?
Okay. So I watched it quote unquote illegally when it came out because my parents were not into rated R films, which it was. And I had always been told I looked like Jodie Foster.
Okay.
And so I watched it and I loved it. And there's so many parts of it. It's a perfect movie for
Hmm.
me. And I've watched a lot of movies and it is perfect. And I just, there are very few films that I think are perfect. And that is my favorite one of all. And I just got glued to it
Hmm.
somehow. And Jodie and I, if you see a picture of Jodie Foster when she's 10 and me when I'm 10, we look very similar. And so I always fashioned myself to be, Jodie Foster.
Yeah, and she started out in horror with The Little Girl Lives Down the Lane. That was an early
Yeah.
film of hers. I remember when she did that. Martin Sheen. That was a
Yeah.
creepy film.
That was totally creepy.
It
I mean,
was.
even Taxi was creepy. Like, ugh,
Yeah.
ugh. But that one to me was the most fascinating and the most chilling. And I just, I loved every part of it. And I had dinner with Anthony Hopkins years later, and he's the most avuncular, kind, sweet human. And I'm thinking, he's Hannibal Lecter.
Well, that's insane. I didn't even know that. That's legendary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh my goodness, I'm here with Anthony Hopkins and I want to drool all over him because he's in my favorite movie of all time. But I have to, again, be cool, be cool, be cool. I'm terrible at being cool, by the way.
I don't blame you, especially with Anthony Hopkins. Would you say that movie is the scariest that you've seen that actually scared you?
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, that actually, and I've watched it probably more than any other movie I've ever seen. And it's just so mentally debilitating and haunting that I cling to it and I find it so deep and incredibly perfect. I don't have any other way to explain it. I just love that film, even though it's so creepy. And a lot of times in interviews, people will ask, "What's your favorite film?" And I will say, "Silence of the Lambs," and then they look at me like I might be insane.
It's a classic. It,
It's a perfect
it
film.
is. It really is. It's won Oscars. It was big time.
Yes. The only other perfect film, oh, let's see. Oh, I'll think of it in a minute. No, now I'm blanking on it. It's I'm gonna die. No, never mind. We'll move on and then I'll think of it and
Yeah.
then I'll tell you the name of it.
Yeah, well, we could get into something similar because Silence of the Lambs is so creepy because it could happen in real life. It's based off a true story, and this is the film which would go on to be a Christmas cult classic with P2. I remember when I first saw this. I think I was in third grade. We rented it out at Blockbuster. I was really young, so I remember when I saw this, and just the scene where the guy gets crushed up against the wall. Oh my, that scene was unbelievably just it stuck with me. I remember that being because I wasn't expecting that because I remember how big it was like with the trailer and everything. And then with me doing my research when preparing for the interview, I didn't realize that it wasn't a box office success. I remember this movie was everywhere with trailers and because now anytime when I got older or around that time period, I would be like, this is like looks like the P2 parking garage. When you're in like some kind of weird garage somewhere, it always goes hand in hand.
Yeah, it was me and Wes, and he was the most gentle person in the entire world, and he played the character so well. And we shot this. This is something that needs to be said. We shot 2 months of nights, Monday through Friday, but 6 a.m., 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. And that was in Toronto, and it was brutal, and it was cold, and I was barefooted and Wes was so lovely and so protective of me because it was just the two of us.
Mhm.
And it was so epic to shoot with him. And I have dear, dear, dear affection for him. And we went through a lot on
Mhm.
that film, especially the scene that you're mentioning. But he was so protective of me. It was really a grateful experience because I thought, okay, okay, we like, platonically love each other and he's going to protect me because I was pretty new on the scene at
Mhm.
that time. And he'd been on it since he was 19. Um, and he just like sort of saved my soul a little bit because it was gruesome. But there was one night where production let all the stunt people go and they wanted me to drive around in full handcuffs inside of a parking lot underground with two cameras on each side of the car and they wanted me to go really fast and I was freaking out because I was new at this and West sat on the front of the car and just said, "No, she's not doing this. And she's not doing this in real handcuffs." And
Wow.
he protected me so much through the shooting that I will love him always and forever.
That's amazing. Yeah, even like with the restrictions, like with the dress code and things like that, they were a little too far out there, and yeah, they had a lot of high demands. That's
Yeah, I mean, they initially wanted me to wear like a little like little dainty nightie, and I was going to get rained on and like run by. They had f three different growlers, I don't know what they're called. On the set, there was one that was barking, there was one that was bleeding, there was one that was chasing Rottweilers, that's what it is. Um, and I was de deathly scared of dogs at that point. And Wes was so super supportive and just said, you can't put her through this. You have to have people on set that control the dogs so she can act the way she needs to act, but not be absolutely petrified. And he was right. And they listened.
Mhm.
And he was he was amazing. And I haven't talked to him in a long time, but I'm sure he's still amazing today.
I'm sure. Yeah, and I'll tell you, it was a justifiable ending when you light them up and the car blows up and everything. And it's just, it's so rare for me to feel like just such dread at the end of the movie because it's Christmas time and then you're walking out of the garage and it's cold on the streets of Christmas. It's just such a dreadful film. It's like when you do light them on fire, pretty much with your taser, it goes up in flames. It's just, it feels like just like a war almost. It's just a tough experience.
Absolutely. And he also fought for me because they wanted me to be in, we were in a parking garage,
Mhm.
okay? It's dirty, and they wanted me in bare feet. And he fought for me to get padding for my both of my feet, like clear padding, but padding so I could run around and not get a disease, basically.
Yeah, it's a lot of risks with that film, and it's like I said, it's going on. The people watch it every Christmas, like it's a Charlie Brown Christmas. It's become a tradition for people. The teddy bear scene, I know people love that.
I love the teddy bear scene. I love that scene. But yeah, Wes played a huge role in protecting me because I was really young at the time. I
Mhm.
think I was only maybe 25 or 26,
Wow.
and I was kind of new with the whole thing, and he was so protective of me. And I wouldn't have survived it without his protection. I really wouldn't.
Mhm. Yeah, no, I have a lot of respect for Wes in that aspect that he was able to do that, and it's going on to be a cult classic, like I said, and then eventually you get to be in Inside, another horror film. Did you have to watch? Did you watch the original one before that was in France or the French version in preparement for this film at all?
The original what?
Inside, because there was one that was the
Oh no,
French version.
I never watched it. I never watched it,
You never
but
watched.
it was, I'm also, I'm scared of so many things. I'm also a terrible swimmer. So the inside was traumatic in so many ways that when I had to go under the water, um, and they put a board, like a board above my head that was underwater, and then they had like a tarp above it. So I had 6 inches of water to come up and breathe. But I was having panic attacks, and I'm not good in the water, and I can't breathe underwater, and I can't breathe without my nose being plugged. And
Mhm.
so they actually, the stylist on the film gave my husband, who was with me, a pair of, bathing shorts or whatever you want to call them, a bathing suit. And Michael would come down with me before they yelled action. And then he would back away because I had to fight against this basically impossible uh like thing. I had to fight against the wood so hard, and then I would have to come up above the wood, and I was petrified even when I was down, and I had to be pulled, and I had, it was so scary. They allowed my husband into the water with me.
Wow. And then you had the elevator scene in P2, all these water scenes.
Yep, and that's one of my biggest fears.
Yeah.
Water is one of my biggest fears. I'm just not an adequate good swimmer.
I'm not
And
either. I can't swim, if that makes it feel better.
that does make it feel better, actually. Thank you. Because I am terrible in the water. And again, the nose thing, I'm missing like a valve somewhere, so I can't hold my nose without plugs in it. My mom has the same thing. And I was just like, oh my gosh, how am I going to do this? And it happened twice. It happened twice.
Horrible. Yeah, it's a horrible. Yeah, the nose thing. I was always like that with swimming lessons. Never wanted to go underwater. No. Yeah, I had no part in that. I'm surprised you're not scared of Jaws because that's like an ultimate fear with the water and a shark.
I mean, I don't love sharks. I'm not going to go swimming with them, but
Yeah.
Jaws is a favorite. Oh, The Shawshank Redemption. That's the
Okay, there
other
you go. Stephen King.
favorite film of mine. Yes, Stephen King, Maine native. Well, he lives in Maine now anyway, but
Hmm.
I love this. That's another perfect film for me. I like weird, I like dark, weird films. And anytime the Shawshank Redemption is on TV, I stop everything and I watch it, and I always cry at the end.
Hmm.
Always. And I'm such a sucker. My nickname with my girlfriends is I'm the crier, which which is totally true. I am the crier. I act in all these horror films and I am the crier. When they meet in Zihuatanejo, it's just like this perfect medley and it's just amazing. And oh, God, yeah.
Another classic film, especially under Stephen King there, especially with Inside too, which was so insane with me watching the movie, is that the statistics, this is a real thing that happens, that they're trying to kidnap in like babies that aren't even born yet, and that's insane. I when I saw that in the screen, I was like, you got to be kidding me. I was like,
Yep.
what?
I totally agree with you. I mean, I don't have babies of my own. I have, again, two rescue pit bulls, and a husband. So that means I have three children. Um, but no, it's an insane thing to think about, cutting out someone else's baby out of their stomach like that whole, I can't. It's not.
Oh,
I mean, I've watched enough Law and Order SVU to understand that it does happen, but ugh.
it's horrible. And I'll tell you, the French version, that's the most gruesome, one of the most gruesome movies I've ever seen in my life. And just the result that happens is you don't face that in your version. The woman in the French version faces that, which is the most grotesque thing. Oh, it's
Yeah,
horrible.
so I'm clearly not watching
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it's wild. It's insane. But you mentioned Law and Order SVU, but I want to get into Criminal Minds because that's another show that you were a part of. People love you in that. So, was there anything that you took away during your time with studying psychology that you were able to apply to your role in Criminal Minds?
It was really interesting because, Ashley was she had a father who committed homicide, obviously, as we know, and was a serial killer. And honestly, I have to say it was one of the best working experiences of my life. Like Gibson and Joe and Shamar, they were all just so lovely and so welcoming. Because I was really scared to go onto a show that was so, notarized. I mean, I went on Alias in season 5 and I went on Criminal Minds in season 6, and I was petrified. There's a certain clique, cult, I don't know what to call it. And people initially on Criminal Minds, I'm not going to lie, they hated me. They hated me. And then they warmed up to me. And then I was unable to continue with the show. And then they were really mad that I wasn't on the show. So it was a real roller coaster. But everybody on that show was fantastic. And I have to give credit to Ed Bonero, who was the
Mhm.
producer. Um, he's still a dear friend of mine. I see him once in a while, and he means a lot to me. He's a very special person. Um, and Thomas Gibson and I had this crazy relationship because we both loved food so much. We would go out to dinner all the time to fancy places. Um, but it was such a memorable cast. And I loved every moment of it because, ironically, what some people don't understand is when you're on a crime show like that, behind the scenes, You're always laughing. There are jokes constantly being told. One time Joe had his head, um, one time Joe had his head under like I don't know what you call it, something on the table. And Thomas had to lift it up, and there's Joe's head right there, and everybody
Oh,
freaked out.
when you're serving the buffet on the
Yes,
table.
yes, yes. It was Joe's head. It was Joe, actually, Joe. And everybody was dying laughing. And it was just, that's the ironic part of shooting horror or thriller. You tend to laugh behind the scenes
Hmm.
because you get so serious when you're actually in the role.
They say horror and comedy goes together. And speaking about that, because comedy is something that you mentioned is being the most difficult genre to film. How come you think it's the most difficult?
I think it's the most difficult because okay, if someone told my father to
Mhm.
go out in front of a stage full of a million people and tell a joke and make them laugh, he could do it. He's almost 80. He could do it. If someone told my mom that, she would sooner be dead than do that. And I kind of feel the same way. I get certain parts of my dad and certain parts of my mom. And if I was told to go out and tell a joke, I would do it. But I'm not Vince Vaughn. And I, and I've been on set with a bunch of very famous comedians, Vince, Owen,
Tyler
um,
Perry.
yep, Tyler. But see, Tyler was so unbelievable in a serious role. And then behind the scenes, it was so much fun. And I have a favorite story about Tyler because he rapped on Alex Cross the final night 3 hours before I rapped, and he stayed to say goodbye to me
Wow.
for 3 hours. And then I got a beautiful bottle gift of champagne from him. And I just thought, oh my gosh, this guy is for real. And I loved working with him. But his comedy is so much more difficult than his drama. The
Hmm.
comedy just takes the cake every time. It's just unbelievably difficult to make people laugh.
It
And he
is.
can he can do it in the blink of an eye. And so can, your other, like I watch Eddie Murphy again and again and again, even his stand-up shows again and again and again. And his talent is so remarkable. It's just it slays me. So I think comedy is the hardest,
Hmm.
followed by drama for sure. But I think making people laugh is so much harder than making people cry.
Hmm. I definitely agree with you on that. And speaking about that too, with other genres, because then you also get to be involved with Demigod, and Raze was another. That was a crazy type of film. It reminded me of like a mixture of Saw and Hostel and things like that. But how is it getting into the executive producer role, and how would you like to expand from being a part of other aspects of filmmaking?
I like the EP role because I get to have a hand in sort of every piece of the pie, essentially. And when it comes to casting and when it comes to directing, which I eventually want to do, but I don't quite have the confidence yet to do it, um, I want to get in there. And Ray's was incredible. And I got to work with Zoe, who, ironically, Zoe was the first stunt person I had to fight in my career, and it was on Alias.
And she
And
hit you. I think I saw something about.
she, she hit me, but it was my fault. I ducked a punch and I came up too soon, and she just blocked me right in the face, gave me a fat lip. And she's a lovely, lovely, lovely human being. But yeah, I got a whack in the face. Um, and she's super talented as an actress as well. I just don't want to paint her as a stunt person. But um, Yeah, we had so much fun on that movie. But then again, it's so serious. But then I have oh, well, I have a picture somewhere of that was taken off set, which looks looks like she's put her head in my butt. I can't help but laugh about because she's amazing. She's a wonderful, wonderful person and a wonderful, wonderful friend. And we had tons of fun beating the CRAP out of each other.
Yeah, that was an intense film. It's just it was brutal. It was so different because you never see anything like that. Women going at each other, and it was brutal. I remember that film when it came out.
Yeah, and Rebecca Marshall, even though she lives in Toronto now, is still a dear friend of mine. And she was enigmatic in that film. I thought that was one of her best performances ever. I was so proud of her. And it was just, you know what the fun part of it was? It was a really kind of sizable group of women who all got along and who all just pretended they wanted to beat the crap out of each other.
Yeah, it was different. You've never seen anything like it. Definitely one that sticks out, and you got EP experience there. And we got to get into the big one, Continuum. That's the big show. Everyone's a big fan of that show. Kieran Cameron. That's a huge character that you played. What was it that you found out to why the show was ending after 4 seasons? Because it was a huge hit.
It was a huge hit and it was devastating. I'm not gonna lie. Simon Barry and I had had it planned out for 7 seasons, and then they tried to pull the plug on season 4. And it was a Canadian show, and the company that created it was kind of going underwater, and they didn't want to create it anymore. Not that any of us were getting paid extraordinarily, and they wanted me to can it by quitting, and I wouldn't. So we got our 4th season, but it was only 6 episodes, even though I was guaranteed 13. But that aside, I all literally every cast member
Hmm.
came to my wedding. That's how close we all are. I'm still super close. Every time I go to Vancouver, I see Lexa and Omari. I've guested on his show before, and I see Victor every time it's possible, and Luvia, and Steven and everybody on the show. I love them so much, and they're dear friends to me forever. And that is my favorite role I have ever played. And I am lucky that I got to play it for well, 3.5 seasons, I guess I would call it.
Hmm.
But it was spectacular and it was fun. And hey, I met my husband in Vancouver while I was shooting the show, and he's not in the industry. So now we've been married for 12 years.
Congratulations. You see, a lot of great things came out of that show for sure.
100%. I'd never even been to Vancouver before, and then there I was.
Yeah, huge, and you never know. I would love to. I don't think there'd be. Maybe if the fans. You never know nowadays. I know the fans would probably love to see some sort of reboot. I think that would feature you, of course. I think because I just that's so
Hope so.
crazy. Is that it was loved. Usually, when you see these shows that have such a huge following, they don't just die out like that, which was a shock.
Yeah, I know. And it was because of the studio and the network.
Hmm.
They were both Canadian, and they were both kind of, I don't know, trying to cut weight, I guess. But even though our show was not an expensive show to shoot, believe it or not, because I know it's looks expensive, but it wasn't. But they were drowning and they were just trying to cancel things.
Hmm.
And we had a huge fan request for, have season 4, have season 5, and they just didn't go for it.
Hmm.
So, I mean, I understand business and I understand the capacity for maintaining a company, but it was heartbreaking.
I could tell, even with the fans. But people get to go and watch. the episodes, they still go back to them and watch them. That definitely memorable role. Your favorite role, as you said. Who did you learn the most from working with? Because you worked with Bruce Willis and Tom Hanks, and you've been around some big people. Nicolas Cage. You've worked with.
And by the way, I know sometimes Cage gets a bad reputation, but he was one of the loveliest people I've ever worked with and one of the most generous actors. And although he's a superstar, and when I worked with him, I was nothing. He stayed behind to do his lines off camera. So that means I'm on camera and he's off camera saying his lines. A bunch of actors would just leave and have their double do the lines. And Nick stayed for every line off camera. And he offered me his house, me and Michael, his house in Las Vegas anytime we wanted it. He was so very generous and so very kind. And so was Bruce Willis.
Mhm.
I will say at the time I worked with Bruce, what do I want to say? There was an edging on the disease, and we could tell it was there, but he was still so lovely and so sweet and so kind and so generous as an actor. And Tom Hanks, I only worked I only worked in the movie for a month, and he gave Christmas gifts to everybody on the cast and crew and then wrap gifts to everybody on the cast and crew, which were both very generous, and they all said with thanks from Hanks.
That just legendary stories from collaborating with Hollywood superstars, and to me, you're one of them. You've done the list is extensive, and we can get into Conan the Barbarian, GI Joe. GI Joe's an interesting one. Did you? Is it true that you got injured while filming GI Joe?
Yeah,
Mhm.
badly. Um,
Wow.
there was a stunt where, patrollers were coming in and shooting, and I had to shoot back, and then I had to fly over like a high-end desk, and the person I don't want to blow him up. Anyway, when I was flying over the desk, the fireworks or arms work gentleman set off. So the firearms went off a bit too early when I
Mhm.
was going over like the desk, and I lost an eyebrow, eyelashes, and part of my hair
Oh
before I
man.
landed on the ground. But the armorer I will not name, and it's totally fine. I have totally recovered. Um, and I recovered. I mean, I kept shooting the movie. Obviously, they had
Mhm.
to paint in my eyebrow and do some work on my eyelashes. But yeah, it was fine. It was just a mistake. It was just a mistake. Apparently, I wasn't quick enough. I should have been quicker.
Oh, that's brutal. They blame it on you. You should have been quick. Oh gosh.
No, no, no. They didn't blame it on me. I'm blaming it on myself. I'm
Oh,
just
you blame it
saying.
on yourself. I thought they blamed it on you.
No, no. Everybody was just, Steven Summers was one of the most fun directors I've ever worked with. And when my parents came to Prague when we were shooting, he gave my mom his director's chair. And she went, "Oh, I can't sit here." And he went, "I'm never going to sit in it." So my mom had the cans on and she sat in the director's chair. And I had this scene with Marlon, and it was like a scene that there was a joke in it, and he was the funny one, obviously, because he's from a dynasty of funny people. And my mom came to me after the scene and said, "He's so funny. He should do comedy." And I went, "Mom, you're so white. Marlon Wayans is part of a comedic dynasty. You don't understand." She had no idea. But it is what it is, and she took care of Channing, and because it was really hot in Prague, and they had the Marlon and Channing had those super suits on, and they were so stuffy and didn't breathe. And my mom was washing their hands with ice cubes in between takes, and it was really cute. My dad was bebopping around the set trying to talk to people who didn't speak.
I lost you at the part where your father was going around on set to talk to people that didn't speak English.
Yeah, they come to every set. They even came to Bulgaria for me, which, ooh, that's a stretch. Don't go there. But my dad can talk to a doorknob. It's true. He's one of my best friends, and he can literally talk to a doorknob and make friends with a doorknob or make friends with someone who doesn't speak English. Absolutely.
And I did want to send my respects as well to him because he served our country as well. I wanted
Thank
to,
you.
yeah, that's big. It's big support of the troops and what they do for our freedoms.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
I
especially during
appreciate that.
these times.
Yeah, yeah. If he wasn't 80, he'd go right back in.
Yeah. Oh gosh. No, but we appreciate his service for sure, and we just look at everything, and especially with Demigod, because how much did that become the new normal once? Because that's the first indie film that you were doing with the after COVID really became a thing. So how much of that really became the new normal after then?
I mean, even though it was an indie, it was very strict on masks and food, like front masks and face masks. And it was a tiny film, and we were on campus the whole time. Um, it was trying, but it was good. It got me out of the house, which I hadn't been out of for like a year. Um, and it was validating. And my co-stars, my coworkers, I'm still friends with them as well. But we had to just like put a foot in the water and just try. And we did, and we were good.
Hmm. Yeah, it's crazy how things have changed, especially after the pandemic, because now all the auditions are virtual, self tapes, and things like that. So, some of the things that you kind of have on the way that you're working on that you can speak on?
I mean, if you hit up IMDb, I've got, I think, 3 or 4 films
Mhm.
on the move, but they keep pushing because given the current establishment, I'm saying diplomatically, um, people are holding on. I'm trying, yeah, trying to be diplomatic,
Hmm.
and people, investors, after the fires, everybody's holding on to their pocketbook. Everybody's holding on to their purse. And I understand that. They're holding on to their wallet. And I get it. So funding is hard.
Hmm.
But visit IMDb and see what I'm up for. I'm very, very excited about the projects. And yeah, it's really tough for the industry right now.
Hmm. No, it definitely is. It's unfortunate, and I don't know if things. I think maybe have you thought about going back to Canada?
Well, I have definitely thought about that. Yes. I'm yes, I've definitely thought about that.
Oh, it's unbelievable. It really is. Because I've been in contact with some people in the industry as far as managers going, yeah, there's not a lot of work going on because of it. People are afraid. They don't know everything's in jeopardy.
Yep. And I'm producing 3 of the films, and people are just scared. And my husband's Canadian, obviously, and we've talked about going back, but he's got a really good job here.
Hmm.
So thankfully, I don't have to be financially concerned as many of my friends have to be. So I'm just trying to be supportive.
No, and I appreciate you speaking out about it because we see what's going on. We hear some things, but I haven't heard this level of honesty about it because it makes you wonder what's really going on. Because I'll hear some things, need to speak to some managers and agents, but thank you for bringing that to the forefront because I think we need that because everyone's so afraid to speak up right now because we have Timo Hitler pretty much on the
Yeah.
horizon here. And yeah, I think it's so important to branch out. I think it's time to really branch out to Canada, different things. If there's people that want to get into film now, I think I don't know what things are really going to bring about the next couple years, but I would have just throw a wide net and expand.
Yeah, I at the end of the day, I believe in honesty. That
Hmm.
is just the way I am. And I love Canada. I mean, I
Hmm.
walk my dogs every morning when it's not super hot in a Canada hat, and a Canada jacket because I want to show support. And my husband's Canadian and I love my in-laws and they're obviously Canadian, but I feel as though it needs to be spoken about because things that are happening here in the United States are being distracting and being disingenuous and um it's a shit show.
It is big time.
Yep. I cry almost every day. That's the
Wow.
way it is. It's just I own a lovely house and I love my two dogs and my husband, and but going back to Canada sounds like a dream. I would love it.
Yeah, I think it's time. Get the get your passports ready, people.
Yeah. And I'm lucky because I'm a permanent citizen of Canada,
Hmm.
so I have every right of a Canadian except being able to vote, which I can't do.
Hmm.
And my husband has his green card, which means he can do everything but vote. Fine. I always vote absentee from Maine because that's where I'm from, and my vote means more in Maine than it will ever mean in California because California is very blue.
Hmm.
So I vote in a state that could be compromised, and I don't want to do that. So I vote absentee every year.
Hmm. Yeah, that's important that you do that. And yeah, it's definitely really bleak with everything going on right now, and it's unfortunate. And I don't know when things are going to get better, but it's almost like we have to move amongst our circle and branch out, like I said, to Canada or somewhere else that is more accepting and less chaotic.
Yeah, no, no, I agree. I mean, I'm scared for a million things. I'm scared for our veterans because,
Hmm.
my father is one. I'm scared for women's rights because I
Oh,
am
that's hard. Yeah.
one.
Hmm.
And the list can go on and it's just really scary. I mean, why are you giving tax cuts to billionaires and people are dying of hunger?
Hmm.
And then look at what happened in Texas. Come on. And the firing of so many people. I could go on forever. I
Yeah, we
won't because
can.
that's boring. It's boring and I won't. I'm just distressed for the country right now. I guess that's what I can say.
Mhm. No, it's very appropriate, and I appreciate your honesty and just speaking up about it. Because I know a lot of people. I know first time around when the Timo Hitler was in office, more people were speaking up. Now it's everyone's just mute and they're in the sunken place apparently.
Yeah, they're all just kowtowing because they're all scared. They're all just like, okay, I'll be
Yeah.
an ostrich and I'll put my head in the sand. And I'm like, you have to, you pledged to save and protect this country and you're not doing it anymore. And that's just devastating to me, especially given my family and given my personal history. And I'm just baffled by the people kowtowing and just saying, okay, do what you want, fine.
Yeah, it's
But I'm
it's
not a
disgraceful.
politician, so I should shut my mouth.
Oh, and some MAGA crazy is gonna say, oh, I'm going in now. You're gonna see this and be like, look at these liberals. You know how it is now. It's just so divided. This how everything is. It's so divided now, and it's unfortunate. But might as well get back to the into the film. So you got the upcoming stuff on the way here, basically to be determined once they're going to be released. So what are some other things that you do work on besides film that you occupy yourself with during these stressful times?
I acquired the rights to a book, which shall remain
Ooh,
nameless,
congrats.
and have written a script, which
Ooh.
also will remain nameless. I work with a charity called Lollipop Theater,
Mm.
and we bring movies that are still big movies that are still in theaters to terminally ill children in hospitals. And I recently flew home to Maine to bring a film, which again has to remain unnamed, but a big film um, to a 16-year-old girl with terminal cancer and at Portland Med, which is a big medical center, especially for children. So I do a lot of work for them whenever I can, whenever they need me. I'll fly anywhere, I'll do anything. Um, During the pandemic, I was reading books to kids on Zoom, and it would be, a multitude of children. It was more children than we could ever have reached before. So yeah, it's Lollipop Theater Network, and I adore them, and I've been an advisory member for I think 15 or 13 years at this point, but I've been in the board for like 20 years. It's very important. It's very important to let the kids feel like they're having a childhood, and very important to give the parents a break for a
Hmm.
minute so they can go out for a coffee or they can go out for breakfast. And I mean, every city that I shoot a movie in, um, uh, I always bring stuff from Lollipop
Hmm.
to the kids, and we host events, and it's very important. And my husband comes, and you just never want to see that in a child.
No. Hmm.
So that's what I spend my time on.
Hmm. No, I thank you and just for everything that you do. Uh, we appreciate it. That's huge that you do that kind of work, and I know it's definitely a stressful time and a touchy topic. And thank you for everything that you do for sure. We
Thank
appreciate that.
you. I
Yeah,
appreciate you. Thank you.
of course. Yeah, we appreciate for everything. It means a lot, and it makes the world a better place. Even though it's dark right now, but we still need we still need people like you.
Well, I appreciate that. I feel like it's midnight right now.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it pretty much we're approaching that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's
Yeah.
real dark. I
Yeah.
mean, it's to the point where I'm sure other cities are different, but it's to the point where in LA, when I walk my dogs, I try to look as homeless as possible. I don't wear any jewelry. I don't wear watches. I don't wear rings. I just try to look really like a dead person zombie because things are crazy. There's tent town everywhere, and I live in a nice neighborhood, and I feel badly for these people, but I'm also scared.
Hmm. It's very scary, especially with ice and all that going around now, and it's insane.
Yeah. And my lovely, amazing cleaning lady, whose name will also be left out, she was telling me about investigating ice spots that she has to avoid driving to my house because she's scared of getting pulled over. And she's a citizen. So, but she's petrified and she just avoids them. There's a website apparently you can look up online, and she just steers clear of them. And again, she's a citizen,
Hmm.
and I love her, and she's amazing, but she's petrified of this country. And I just feel so badly.
It's a scary time, and people no longer vote for what's in their best interest. They vote for other people's worst interest, even if it hurts them. That's the
Yeah,
times that we're living in now.
yeah, 100%. And
Hmm.
I refuse to vote that way. I vote to protect all people
I agree.
every time.
Hmm.
And that's why like I said, I do absentee from Maine because did I vote for Kamala Harris? Yes, I did.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, it's a scary time. So I'm just trying to protect as many people as I can.
That's big. Thank you for your honesty and sharing that. Because a lot of people, I will say this, I deal with a lot of artists. I deal with a lot of other people on the show, and they're afraid to to speak up. A lot of them shy away from the topic, but we kind of just got right into it. But yeah, you're one of the first people since he's gotten reelected to really speak out against it, and it's scary because there's not a lot of pushback like there was last time when he was in. It's almost like it's he's normalized. Like you said, everyone's putting their head in the sand, or now it's just like he's just an ordinary president, which isn't the case. It's completely different.
No. And even my husband, who's a straight up white Canadian, is scared to go back to Canada because he feels, even though he's basically a citizen here with a green card, he's scared he won't be let back in. How
Hmm.
petrifying is that? It's just dirty and unnatural. And the kowtowing, I know I've said kowtowing like 9 times, but I'm going to say kowtowing again. It's just embarrassing. And other
Hmm.
nations are laughing at us and we look like fools.
Hmm.
And we are fools.
Yeah, I
It's
agree.
just
It's not a good time. I know everyone was going crazy with the fireworks, and I know certain people, I look at it a certain way. It's definitely, I feel as though there's some taintedness to it now with everything going on, and all I have to say is that people enjoy the fireworks and your vote for your Timo Hitler, because that bill that just passed, you're gonna feel that. I'm telling you, you're gonna feel that, unfortunately.
I totally agree with you. This is the thing. I live in California. It is now the fourth largest economy in the world. We fund all of the red states. And
Hmm.
Gavin Newsom has stepped up and has said, you know what? If you're not going to support California, we're not going to support you.
Hmm.
And we're going to, I don't know, it's like $80 billion a year or something that we pay into red states so they can survive. They're
Hmm.
going to feel that too because
They
he
are.
will revoke those privileges a
Oh, he
hundred
will.
percent. Yeah.
He
And
will.
I've never loved Newsom, but I love him now.
Yeah, yeah. Everyone, I get exactly what you're saying, and trust me, I wasn't happy when when Trump got off the plane there and he was greeting them and stuff like that. I was just like, "What are you doing?" You know, I wasn't a fan of that. But afterwards, he still at least stands up for what's right at the end of the day. So we need that. He's all we have, pretty much.
Hmm. But also, I do appreciate the new PM of Canada, Cannery, I believe.
Hmm.
Ooh,
I
is
think
that?
so.
I think so. He has been balls to the wall, and it's stunning, and it's great, and it's hugely supported and appreciated because he just said, "Fuck off."
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
That's what you need. That's what you need. It's
yeah.
it's unbelievable. It really is, just everything going on now, and it's scary times. There's a lot of religion stuff
Oh
and
God. Oh God.
the face.
Oh
The
God.
face.
Oh God. I'm just glad that I don't have human children. I have puppies. I don't want to raise. I've had two sets of friends move back to Canada because they don't want to raise children in this country.
It's bad.
Yeah,
Yeah. I don't blame them. I really don't.
I don't either. I'm heading back myself.
Yeah, I'm
I
telling
just
you.
gotta figure out how to get my dogs on a plane.
Yeah, I think that's the move to make, because I was considering relocating to Los Angeles or California soon, probably as the fall came around. But now that what you're saying and things that I'm hearing, I don't know if that's the right decision. I think Canada is the way to go.
Go to Alaska.
Yeah. Got to get a nice Canada goose to go there too. Oh,
Yeah, exactly.
unbelievable. Yeah, things are bad. Things are
Yep.
really bad, and yeah, I think we covered pretty much everything. We cover every. I think we cover all your film work for sure.
Anything else you have to question or ask or offer, I'm down for it. But if you want to say goodbye, we can say goodbye.
Yeah, I think I think it was a Star Trek. I don't think we got into Star Trek because
Oh yeah.
yeah, because you were covered in green for that.
Oh, I mean, I love JJ. I obviously worked with him on Alias,
Hmm.
but and I when I worked with Rebecca Romaine on Librarians, I asked her because she was blue for like 4 movies, and we were talking about it because I was green for 1 movie and like 3 scenes, and it was not not fun because basically, especially the full body one when it's Zoe Saldana and Chris and me, that makeup and hair took 6 hours, 6 or 7 hours.
Mhm.
And so I was getting picked up at like 2:30 in the morning to make call time. And I'm really pale if you can't tell. And I would be green for days after washing it off. But it was one of those experiences that I said to myself, you're gonna love this when it's over. You're going to be proud of it when it's over. But right now, you're not comfortable because you're kind of sticky all the time. But because JJ asked me to dye my hair for G.I. Joe, that's how I got the role of Scarlet. I mean, I auditioned for the role of Scarlet, but that's how I got the role of Scarlet for G.I. Joe. Oh no, I meant Star Trek. So, um, because of Star Trek, I dyed my hair and then I got G.I. Joe playing the role of Scarlet. And I'm not sure if the creative people would have seen me with my natural hair color if I wasn't red at the time. And Stephen Summers called me, and I was on the set of Star Trek. And he said, "Do you want the role?" And I started screaming. I was like, "Yes, yes, 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 yes." And he said, "But you haven't read the script." Because I had auditioned with lines from a different movie. I
Mhm.
didn't have the script at all. And I was like, "No, yes, 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 I want this." And he just started laughing, and we just agreed to do the film together. Um, but it was hysterical because I don't think if I didn't have the red hair, I would have been hired.
And it worked, and people remember you for your character. I mean, it's been an amazing career just looking at everything you've been a part, even with Conan the Barber. That's another huge movie and a huge franchise. Just, yeah,
Yeah.
these are heavyweight roles. I'm telling
And people are so, women, I will say, and some of my other male friends are so interested in my time with Jason Momoa.
you.
He was the nicest guy. We were in Bulgaria. He wouldn't he's so big. He didn't have a stunt person that qualified to replicate him because he's so tall, and he wouldn't let me go out without him. He was a big brother.
Mhm.
And so anytime I left our residences, I would call him and he would come with me. I was never left alone by him, and he was such a sweetheart. And then my parents again came to Bulgaria and they met his kids, and his daughter loved my father because my father is 6'7", so he's
Oh, he's
Jason
tall.
Momoa height. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But Jay is the gentlest giant aside from my dad. Um, Jay is just so nice, and he was so supportive of me, and he was so directly intent on protecting me. And it was really, really sweet because in Bulgaria, there's no English. There's no English alphabet. There's only Cyrillic, which is if you don't speak that language, you do not understand what any of the signs are saying. And so Jay was just he was just the sweetest, sweetest man, and I want everyone to know that.
Yeah, Jay definitely. I loved hearing that story. Thank you for sharing that as well. Yeah, and you brought up Steve Summers because you auditioned for Van Helsing too. That was
Yes.
something that you were a part that you got to be Kate
Well, I had
Beckinsale's role.
the audition for Van Helsing was my audition for G.I. Joe. They
Wow.
wouldn't release the script. So I auditioned with Kate, whatever her name is, with her sides essentially from Van Helsing.
Hmm.
I, I didn't have the script. I didn't have anything. I just knew that I was auditioning for G.I. Joe, but it was going to be different sides than were going to be in the movie because they were so protective of it.
Wow. Yeah, that's another big film too that you got to audition for. Is what that's yeah, because that was another Hugh Jackman. I remember when that came out.
Oh yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, using those sides, I had already seen the movie, so I went, okay, I know how to navigate these sides. Um, but still, I was auditioning for GI Joe and it was petrifying. And then I had to do a screen test, and then I got hired, and then I had to test with a bunch of other actors, and I chose Marlon Wayans
Hmm.
to play um, Rick Shot, Jump Shot, I forget. Um, and he was so lovely and he was so sweet, but I had already had the role and I got to choose who the role was going to. And Marlon was just so lovely. I chose him. Also so talented and so funny
Hmm.
and so comedically timed. He was a no-brainer. We already had Channing, who I'd known for years, and I just thought, bring on Marlon, please. He's going to be great.
And he was, and I'm not surprised. He's definitely a natural at what he does for sure.
He's great. He's
Hmm.
great. And he's lovely, and we're still friends. And um, he just really sanctifies what it is to be a versatile actor,
Hmm.
comedian, whatever you want to say. But he does it all. I will say that he does it all, and we're still friends. And he's a hard worker. His whole family are hard workers, and they just put nail to the grindstone and they just work it out, and it's very impressive.
Hmm. I'll tell you, it's been one hell of a journey all the way from Cinderella when you did that in camp when you were younger, all the way to now.
Oh, I can't believe you know about that. Oh my God. It has been a journey.
It has been.
Oh my God. You, by the way, I'm just going to tell you, you didn't dig deep far enough because I once in high school played a football player because all the guys dropped out because they thought acting in a play was inappropriate, and so they all
Oh,
dropped
okay.
out.
Wow.
So all the football players ended up being women, and I was one of them. And you didn't find it, so
Yeah.
I'll leave it up to you. If you can locate it, I will come back on and we can talk about
Yeah,
it.
we could do that.
It's hilarious.
Yeah.
I'm so clumsy and not like I have the longest arms you'll ever see and the longest legs, and the footage is quite remarkable.
I gotta
So
look into this. Yeah.
I'm glad you didn't find it for this interview.
Oh, I found everything else though. That's all that
You
matters.
did. You
Yeah.
did. I'm impressed.
Oh, thank you.
You did your research.
Yeah, thank you. I
Thank
did.
you.
Oh, of course. And Rachel, thank you for everything. Yeah, I appreciate everything that you do on film and then off the screen, especially for charities and just speaking out for what's right. And is there anything else you want to let your fans know? Anything else?
I love support and I love patience and I love love. I just
Mhm.
do. And I want everybody to, as Taylor Swift says, because I'm a big Swiftie, calm down.
Mhm.
And there we have it.
Calm down. And then they can follow you on Instagram at Tickle Nichols as well.
Yeah. Yes.
That was from a bet.
By the way, wait, there's a funny story about that before I let you go.
The bet.
Um, I'm friends with Jake Hoffman, who's Dustin Hoffman's son. And years and years and years ago, I lost a bet with him at the Bowery Hotel. And the deal was if I lost the bet, which I still don't remember what it is, so don't ask. If I lost the bet, he got to create my Instagram. So thank you, Jake Hoffman, for creating at Tickle Nichols. on Instagram because it was his choice and I stuck with it.
There you go. There you go. And stuck with it ever since. Make sure to follow. Are you on Blue Sky too? Or are you on?
No, no,
Mhm.
I tried to mellow out on the social media a little bit because it
Mhm.
was getting pretty intense, and I'm just Instagram. I'm pretty good about responding to fans, and I always appreciate their respect and their love and their understanding. Um, and yeah, I mean, I when the man took over Twitter and called it X, I quit, and I'm not on anything else. But
Mhm.
it was just giving me too much anxiety, and I'm
Mhm.
already anxious enough. So I just quit all of that. And so, yeah, it's Instagram for me.
I don't blame you. Yeah, the X. I miss Twitter. It's once it came X, it became too much.
Too much. And
Hmm.
I, I can't, if I'm a member, I can't not look at it. And I don't want to be a member because I don't want to have to look at it because if I am a member, I'm going to look at it and it's just going to make things worse. And I don't feel like dealing with that now.
Hmm. No, and do you think we could even close out with this? Because I remember when I deleted my Facebook around it was like the first time that he got in. I don't miss it at all. I don't. Once I deleted it, it's not something you miss. And now with the industry being so heavily reliant on numbers and follower count, do you think that we could go back to the days of not having social media and thriving again
I,
without it
I,
in this
I,
industry?
I, I sincerely wish because I'm off except for again Instagram,
Mm.
and I'm not going back on any platform, and I don't miss it. It actually is very freeing. Um, like I said, I've got my two dogs. I've got my other things that are going on, and I'd rather focus on real life than on fake life.
It's important.
It's very important, especially for mental health, which I'm a huge supporter of and a huge component of. Mental health is very, very important, and it's no longer a stigma. It's a necessity to pay
Hmm.
attention to your mental health and make sure that you're okay. And that's the most important. You need to make sure that you're okay and your stress level is down. And I think that comes with eliminating some of the political atmospheres, which involve X and blue sky and da 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 da. And I just keep my Instagram because I do love my fans. I have some people that I've never met that I'm friends with automatically because of Instagram. And I message with them, and that's good for me. But you better believe it. If you come for me, I will cancel you.
Hmm. Good for you. Got to hit the block button.
100%.
Hmm. That,
Done it a million
yeah,
times.
oh, yeah, I've been there. That you got to do it sometimes.
You have
There's,
to.
mhm,
You have to. You have to. My thing is you have to put yourself first.
mhm,
I know a lot of people have children, and look, I have a husband. I still put myself first. I have dogs. I still put myself first. And I know a lot of people with children say you can't put yourself first if you have children. So fine. I understand. But I'm putting myself first. And what brings me pain and not pleasure is not a part of my life anymore.
mhm. I don't blame you.
I'm just,
It's the right decision.
I'm 45 and I don't give a fuck anymore. I'm I'm just brutally honest, and that's the way it's gonna stay.
No, you're right, and you gotta watch the with your health and mental health. As we lost Jim McMahon, I saw over the weekend. He passed
Yeah,
away with a private battle of cancer, and even young Noble from the Outlaws with Tupac. I saw he committed suicide.
yeah,
That was crazy to see.
yeah. And I reach out with love and affection for all the friends and family members that are going through with someone perishing or committing suicide. And I've had suicide ideations before myself. I
Hmm.
mean, I have. And that's why therapy is really important.
It is.
But yes, I reach out with my heart to everyone who's been affected by death or, oh no, I have an alarm going off,
Oh,
uh, by death or suicide or anything like that, because I know how heartbreaking it can be. And that's how I keep myself alive. I
hmm
have parents. I don't want to break them. They're almost in their 80s. Like,
hmm
I'm not I can't be selfish. It's rude.
No.
But anybody who's going through this or has gone through this or has lost their life, I do reach out to their family and their friends and understand that the pain they're going through is irreplaceable.
Yeah, it definitely is. And I want to thank you for everything again, especially on the screen, off the screen, charities, and being a bold voice. We need more people like you.
Well, I appreciate that. I feel like honesty is the only way to go.
I agree. We need more of it, even though people are allergic to it. We need it.
Well, you can get it from me anytime you want.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, you're always welcome back on the show. And thank you to Lisa too for setting this up and getting everything coordinated.
Yeah, she's kind of amazing.
Yeah, she is.
Okay,
Uh,
well, I will see you again in the future. How about that?
absolutely. Let's plan on it.
Okay.
Okay, Rachel, take care. Enjoy the rest of your night and stay safe out there. Much
You
respect.
too. Much
Thank you.
respect.
Bye
Thank
bye.
you.
Thank
Bye.
you.